Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today it's Sunday and it's February 21st, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, I had to take some time off to re-energize myself. My mother died a few weeks ago, so I have to tell you now that funerals during COVID-19 pandemic is something I will never forget. It changes everything you've ever learned about how people grieve and about family gatherings. So after the funeral, I just packed up and headed to the beach for about 2 weeks, and now I'm back and it's time to get back to work because there's so many things I want to share with you. Our story today takes us to Fayetteville, North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, Veteran lied about his disability via repossessed his assets. I'll provide you with a summary here and I'll place links to a few of the full articles in the description box. Well, today we're talking about this veteran right here. His name is Willie Kane, age 73 of Fayetteville. Well, Mr. Kane found himself in a lot of trouble recently, and it led to his prosecution by the district court in conjunction with the VA Inspector General's office and his subsequent guilty plea. And it's a story every veteran needs to hear so that you won't find yourself into trouble when you're dealing with the VA. And this is what we know about this case. Now, a few of the local news sources have been following this particular case for some time. And back in 2015, it was the Fayetteville Observer who first identified Mr. Kane as having served in the Army for 27 years. This included 2 tours to Vietnam and 1 deployment to Saudi Arabia before his retirement from Fort Bragg in 1991. Now, he also served more than 15 years after retirement now with the Fayetteville Police Department while also teaching courses at Fayetteville Technical Community College and Campbell University. And that's how some of us in the local community got to know about Mr. Kane. He was also a well-known firearm instructor and a concealed carry instructor with a bit of a personality. And that's how I really got familiar with him when I took my concealed carry course because he was good at what we did. And many also knew him to be moving around on a motorized scooter. So we had no reason to feel that the individuals we saw presented a different image from what he actually was. We never did make the connection. Now, based on what has been reported from court documents, Mr. Kane had reported to the Department of Veterans Affairs in his disability claim that shrapnel wounds he sustained in Vietnam in 1965 caused him to suffer from a loss of use of both of his legs, as well as the inability to control his bowel and his bladder. So essentially, he couldn't walk around, and he was incontinent. He also said he was unable to perform daily activities such as bathing and dressing himself, and that he was dependent on a wheelchair to move around. He had done several interviews with news sources in which he talked about the struggles of day-to-day living with his current conditions, and there were times he said he simply could not get out of bed for a week. And that's how he was able to not only get that motorized scooter from the VA, but he also had some help to help him at home. So the picture created was one of a totally disabled Army veteran who was struggling to maintain some level of independence. And with all the challenges of day-to-day living, the VA was helping him in whatever way they could. And based on what I know to be true, Mr. Kane was getting the very best that the VA had to offer. But apparently, Veterans Affairs and the Attorney General's office somehow must have been watching Mr. Kane for some time because they found out that his declared disabilities were all a bunch of lies. The Attorney General found out that Mr. Kane maintained an active lifestyle as a firearm instructor. He enjoyed beach activities, he enjoyed playing basketball, he went dancing, and he also attended social events. But listen to this. He purchased a condominium at Carolina Beach on the 3rd floor of a building that had no elevator. So unless he was a genie, he had to be walking up those stairs to get to his condominium. And in other words, they came to the conclusion that Mr. Kane had been faking his disability and that he had been doing so for quite some time. As a result of these false claims he had submitted to the VA, he had received hundreds of thousands of dollars from the VA for things such as aid in attendance, that is somebody to help him in the house. The VA had paid for the modification of his home, so they made it wheelchair accessible. They purchased an adaptation for his vehicle, which again was to make it accessible for someone in a wheelchair. And of course, he had that fancy scooter, all based on a bunch of lies. I could not find anything that told me exactly how they caught him, but they must have been watching him for a long time. And based on that, he could not dispute any of the facts. So last year, and I believe it was in June, he pled guilty to one count of embezzlement for defrauding the VA of almost $1 million in benefits and services. So he went before a judge last month, January of 2021, and he learned of his sentence. It was probably done by a conference call due to the pandemic because the courts were closed. First, he was sentenced to 5 years of probation and was ordered to perform 250 hours of community service. He must pay the government $903,668. He also forfeited another $155,000 in cash. That was probably money he had stashed away in a bank account somewhere. They seized his modified 2018 Toyota Sienna, which is the car that they had made wheelchair accessible, and they also seized his motorized scooter. They took his wheels, but the government still was not done with Mr. Kane. In a civil forfeiture claim, he was forced to give up his Carolina Beach condominium, and as I already mentioned, this was the condominium he purchased on the third floor of a building that did not have an elevator. And it seems as if they were determined to make an example out of him, but people wondering why he did not get any jail time. Because, the things he did seemed justified for sending him to jail for some time. Well, the prosecutor cited the ongoing COVID pandemic as well as his age in making their decision. And I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just wondering how he's getting around now. He's probably walking because, after all, he's been walking and dancing and playing basketball all along. He really didn't have a use for his scooter. So maybe now he's just kind of, since they took it away, he's just going on with life as usual. I know this story may seem a bit funny, but when you look at it, it's really not funny because a crime was committed. And Mr. Kane took away valuable resources that could have gone to veterans who really needed it. There are too many veterans out here who struggle to get VA disability claims approved, and I don't think it's fair to them. And if you wonder if others should be charged as well, I think so, because the person who was getting paid as his aide, that person should have known that he was faking his injuries, that he was actually able to take care of himself. But Mr. Kane is not the only one. There are many, probably hundreds and maybe more people out there who are healthy and walking around, and when it's time to go to the VA for appointments, you see them looking as if they can't even hold their head up. One of my friends told me a story about someone she met on the golf course, and they were playing golf and talking and laughing. And then one day she saw them coming into the VA hospital on an oxygen tank and walking with a cane, and she was wondering, oh my God, what happened to him? Faking. That's what they're doing, faking. But I guess the VA decided to put people on notice. If you're lying about your disability claims, you better keep that lie going because they're watching, and if they find you, they're going to take back every penny they've ever paid you. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you think about this video. And please, please help us to grow. Please like and share. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on this notification bell right here, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.